Coming up on Talk is Cheap, we're revisiting Fukushima. What the fuck is it still doing? Is it still burning? And a new energy source. What is it called? How does it work? We got that all coming up next. Talk is Cheap. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk, talk is cheap. I am Dan Hohlfeld, your host, and with me,
Dusty Long.
Today, we're talking about energy. I wanted to cover this. I think one thing that didn't get reviewed was Fukushima. People don't realize how bad it actually is. Have you heard anything on Fukushima lately?
Not lately. I've watched a few things on the things that were found in the water, but nothing about the actual nuclear site.
But the whole concept got like buried. Like no one's talking about it. Nobody wants to say anything about it.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
It's like, what's the real fucking problem here? It's like, I think they're so scared about what's gonna happen, they don't wanna bring any light to it. So, maybe you guys know VIST is a very good channel on YouTube. They did a documentary released recently on the Fukushima. So I have a few clips here that I want to illustrate about, you know, how it is there, how bad things really have gotten. In this clip, there's a farmer, like, he did not fucking leave. Well, he left, but then he came back because he realized the cows, you know, they're starving on their own and they were caged in.
Okay.
So then, well, I'll let this video play for itself here.
もともと田んぼでどうせこんなとこ米作っても誰も買わねえ。だからもう俺もその人も俺も一生田んぼ作んねってここ。もうこんなとこの田んぼなんかいられって言ったっけ。だったらもう草生えねえはいいから牛離してくれ。でここ借りて全部パイプでサグ作ってそこに牛こうみんな離した。
Basically let the cows out.
So they're not using the rice paddies anymore.
Because they were caged in there and they couldn't eat anything. Then, like you said, his feelings changed.
Okay.
Otherwise, they just went through and slaughtered them all.
殺処分反対運動要はもうなんで殺さないかな今までこいつらの仲間なんか悲惨な思いで死んでたんだぞでやっとこいつら元気になったらまだもう目障りだって殺しめって食うんだらいいって言うのもうみんなこれを食肉として使うんだら構わないやっぱり命ってこんなもんだでした何でもかんでも理由もなくバタバタバタバタ殺してなんで埋めるんだって特にこの中だからってまあそれも反対だしやっぱり動物だ人間だって一緒だってこんなむやみに人をバタバタ刺すかって
So, you know, this guy, he's feeling like, hey, why would we kill these animals, the cows? It feels wrong to like just slaughter them all, but that, at the same time, you can't fucking sell the meat. You know, what are you supposed to do about it?
Does he say why he can't sell the meat? Or are they just, is the government just walking in and killing them? And
well, where he's living, the microsieverts are like 7 and 6. You know, this is high shit. So it's contaminated.
Well, and there's no, the government's not doing anything. They're just trying to cover it up that it happened, and then, you know, that's it.
More or less, like, well, the thing is, like, you know, what do you do with that meat? You can't fucking get rid of it.
No. Well, the cows didn't look that unhealthy. He said for 2 years, didn't he?
Yeah. This, I think there's a different, like, field later on. Because I'm going to show another clip where they actually, like, the cows are starving so fucking bad, I couldn't believe it. Like, well, they tell the story, they don't really show it.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at this other clip. How it actually is to live there. You know, how you getting your water and all that shit. You're out, the place is contaminated. How are you trying to fend for yourself there?
Okay.
最初はもう生活用水これだったんです。みんなこれをためで、水は大丈夫。まあそもそも山から水出てたから、そこさ穴掘ってホースさした。 ああ、キノコはダメよ。いっぱいあるぞ、俺、キノコも取って。
I like
キノコも
this.
取って隠してある。
Stash it. And then I'll eat him eventually. Oh my
細
god.
胞を一度傷つけるのはこれ間違いないと思います。ただその細胞を傷つけたとしても元に修復されると、基本的には。その中で稀に傷ついた細胞が元に戻らなくて癌になる恐れがあるので、これは量の問題ではないと思うんですよね。100ミリシーベルト被爆してるとか1ミリシーベルト被爆してるっていうわけではなくて、基本体の中に一回セシウムが入れば細胞を傷つけるので、私たちは体の中に食べ物でセシウムが入んないような努力をしていきましょうというふうに声をかけてます、患者さんには。
まあ最初はそういうのを心配したわけよ。5年か10年になるとがんとか白血病になるのかな。まあなったらなったでしょうがね。東大に行ったの。
Went and got his checkup.
まあもう俺見た時はもう日本の火葬場のイメージだから、寝台車に乗ってビーンと入ってって扉バチーンと閉まって18分。
Am I
で
right?
18分過ぎて終わりましたっつってまた扉開いてダーッと出てきたわけよ。それは博士の顔見たから見えて、まあ、俺の方見てたから「博士どうだった？」って聞いたわけよ。松村さんチャンピオンだってじゃあどうなんだって言ったらそれはでも結果
You won't get sick for 30 or 40
発症
years.
するのは30年か40年先だべ。だから俺はこの頃死んでからかな。
And like he says, he'll be dead by then anyway.
And see, that's what gets me about this. The whole deal down there was, you know, they had the radiation leak. You know, it got everywhere, but then, like you said, it all got shut up, been quiet. They're talking about this poor guy. He's going to go ahead and he has the highest doses of radiation, but they're saying, oh, you were not going to pass away for 30 or 40 years. But then I've seen other websites and other videos and all other reports where it's saying that, you know, this stuff is sweeping across the ocean. Our fish are, you know, insatuated with all this stuff and whatnot. So, you know, and then, of course, they're trying to get rid of the cattle on top of that.
Right.
So it's kind of like it sounds more like a cover-up to me than it does like, oh, we're trying to take care of the problem. We're trying to fix these things. So, you know, that's the thing that with the whole thing, the whole deal down there is, we knew that there was a leak. We knew what they were doing. Then all of a sudden, we haven't heard anything about it anymore. We lost the plane, you know, in Malaysia. So everyone looked over there to that, you know.
Well, that's another conspiracy.
Yeah, it really is. I think we've lost 2 now. I don't know how we lose planes, folks, but I don't know. I'm getting worried about driving my own car down the road. But no, and if it was such a bad radiation leak like they're saying, if that's truly what they're saying, then the man should be more sick than he is, you would think. Or if it is worse, are they lying to him? Why would they get rid of the cows? If he's not going to die for 30 or 40 years, then, you know, why do we have to slaughter all those cows?
I think the main reason, like, they wanted a lot of people to evacuate. Well, obviously the kids are going to be affected, you know, if they're young. You know,
yeah.
By the time they get old, they're going to fucking, hair's going to fall. Well, what happened in the Ukraine with Chernobyl?
Chernobyl.
Yeah, didn't they lose their hair and shit right away?
No. Normally well, from what I understand, excuse me, from what I understand, that takes a little while to go ahead and to have that radiation poisoning, get rid of the hair and whatnot. And Chernobyl was, it was bad. Russia tried covering that up for a couple of days too. But what people don't understand about Chernobyl is it's still running. You know, I have a whole deal with that. Yeah.
Still running.
There's 3 reactors.
It's still
there's the
burning
other
hot.
2. Yeah, the other 2 reactors are still working. There's people going to work in Chernobyl. You know, they're to the other 2 reactors that are still they're still going to work.
Running?
That's what people don't understand.
What is it powering?
There's 2 more nuclear reactors still running there.
Holy fuck! You just blew my mind.
Yeah, people don't know that. That whole movie Chernobyl came out, and people are like, "Oh, you know, Chernobyl's a big dead zone." No, there's people going to work to this day working on the other 2 reactors. There's only 1 reactor that melted down. The other 2 are just fine.
So what is that powering? Some farther cities?
That's just still powering parts of Russia.
Hope they got a good health insurance plan.
Probably not.
God damn.
That's Russia.
Oh my God.
So that's that they'll utilizing Chernobyl like you said. Excuse me. Utilizing Chernobyl like you said. It's interesting that Fukushima went ahead and melted down the way it did. We threw a bunch of salt water on it. We tried to cool it down with the leaking and whatnot. And I gotta wonder: is it as bad as everyone thinks it is? Is it better than we think it is? And there's no information coming out. And I think that's the biggest issue, is we have to sit here and hypothesize what it is that's going on over there, and we're guessing whether or not this was leaked or this was leaked, and that's the major problem. If you were to ask me, they want to get rid of cows. They want to say these cows need to be slaughtered, but that man supposedly has the highest dose of radiation. He's going to live for another 30 or 40 years. That doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, your cows are all going to die, but you, sir, you'll live on until you die, naturally. So right. I don't get it.
That's the thing too. Like, if you watch these videos and you'll like see dogs loose and everything, like they look fine. I mean, they do. I don't know if they just adapted to it. Even in Chernobyl, there's animals and everything. I think like nature kind of just adapted to it.
I suppose so. I mean, I don't think you can really adapt to it, but I think because when you have a radiation leak like that, it's going to get into the water, it's going to get into the air. So, we'd have to worry about air currents. Where is it going to go from there? The fallout is going to follow the air. It's going to go down the river. So then I think that's the real reason I'm worried about Fukushima is the amount of ocean water that was used, the amount that leaked out into the ocean. And the ocean's really, really big, so I don't know if cesium, if it breaks up, if it flows around, or if it, kind of stays in there. And I think that's the biggest issue. I really do. The stuff on land, I don't really recall ever it being on the land, where this guy's at. But like I said, I've only seen so much, and that's not a lot.
Right.
So,
well, here's the part about the dead cows. It's pretty fucking crazy.
も絞んないと牛が病気になっちゃうから
if they ain't milked, they get ill. So they milked them, threw it out.
その繰り返しをずっとやっている。これは牛の全部番号1番からザーッと振って牛の答えナンバーザーッとそしてこの赤いのが一番最後に残ってるんですけどなこれがこの黒いのがうちの息子が土地区に出す牛の順番を決めたというのは悪い牛から土地区に出していったわけやっぱり我々は処分をせざるを得なかったみんなやっぱり牛というと同じに考えちゃうねところが全く違うんだ全く違う一番いい思い出ね。
I'll skip ahead just a smidge here.
全部死んだ。まだ少し匂いする。だから地獄だって片方では死んでんだぞ。その牛をまだいで動いてる牛もいるわけだから。そしたらもう牛はみんな餓死よ、餓死。いや、あの時あそこにも犬がいたわけ、犬。で、犬に餌やってるうち、もう牛小屋見たら牛もバタバタ死んでたけど、まだ親子で生きてた牛がいたわけ。でも、もうどっちもガリガリだったから、もう水も餌ももう1ヶ月も食ってねえんだから。で、子牛はやっぱりおっぱい吸いたくて親のとこに行くんだよな。で、おっぱいもう少しっていう時に、親はもうおっぱい出ねえの分かってからもう蹴るんだ、子牛を。
Fucking kick the calf away.
それでもまだおっぱい欲しくてまだ行くわけよ。で、まだ蹴られるわけよ。でもまだ行くわけよ、これでも。でも3回蹴らっちゃらもう子牛も考えたんだな、もう行ってもダメだ。だから何考えたか知らないけど、もう後ろの角にロープが下がってる。で、ロープの下がってるその下がもう乳首に見えたんだけどな、そこ行って乳首をチャカチャカチャカチャカって吸ってたんだよ。いや、それ見たらもうそこを見てらんにかったもん。それから何日分に両方やっぱり死んじゃった。
The cows are starving. The calf is trying to get milk and feed. The mother has no milk to feed on it. And she obviously can't do anything, so she kicks it away and just... If you put that picture in your mind, it's just like, oh my God. And this happened all over. in Japan there,
Yeah,
Fukushima.
yeah, and that's really, I didn't expect to see that type of thing. That's actually pretty.
This is the type of thing I think they don't want people to know about. They try to cover this shit up because it's like, you know, go about your daily life. This shit ain't happening. It's like, well, it is, and we should probably look into some other energy sources because this is getting, like, if this is gonna happen when something goes wrong, this is crazy.
That's true. Yeah, and you know, nuclear normally is if done right, is pretty safe, but you can't. I'm sure when they built the reactor there, they weren't thinking, oh, there's going to be a tsunami that's going to hit this place. And that's an issue. I mean, I'm sure they build them so that earthquakes are not, you know, an issue, you know, because they have a huge amount of them there, maybe volcanoes.
Well, now, they built that fault line, though. Wasn't there some in California they built it right on the fault line?
No, did they really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Well, we're not the smartest people on the earth. You know, we all mess up somehow. I don't know how we miss a fault line in California. I'm sure someone's got fired for that one, but...
Oh, my God.
Well...
It's just fucked.
You know, tsunamis, I mean, I think we probably heard about it growing up, tsunamis are these big waves. But I can't remember ever in my lifetime ever actually seeing or hearing about one until it was two. Hasn't there been two? One that hit Japan and then, oh no, it was the same one, right?
But what was the other one?
I thought the other one hit like Indonesia or something. There was two tsunamis lately, or is it just one tsunami?
There might have been. Can't quite remember.
Well, let's just say there's one.
If you guys remember, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So say there's one tsunami. I think that was the only ever like recorded with tape and video and everything else ever. You know, I think the rest of them were all in history books or talked about or, you know, those types of things. And, you know, if something doesn't happen quite a lot or quite often or at all, then we get complacent. You know, oh, well, you know, we know there's tsunamis out there, but what we don't know is how they occur, where they're at. So when they built the reactor, they were probably like, you know, this is a good spot. You know, it has a nice view of the ocean. Why not, you know? Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, is it correct? You know, we can't lay blame there. But what we can do is we can say that the government should have stepped in. The government should have been, you know, helping these cows, helping these farmers, ensuring that that type of thing was taken care of. And then the other thing is they should have gone ahead and they should constantly be telling people, hey, this is what's going on. You know, they're constantly worried about the public always being so scared and so worried about, oh, if there's, I don't know, a disease or a virus, you know, and they have a good reason. If you ask me, sometimes, you know, we hear about something and people flock to Walmart, buy penicillin for fish and bottled water, and then they run home because they think something's going to happen. And then other times, you know, they don't. And I can see why the government might want to take that information and kind of like, okay, well, we're not gonna put it out there. But that's for a virus. That's for something that's pretty major. And this is a radiation leaking. This is radiation poisoning. This is people and their livelihoods dying. And you don't see the government stepping in the way we think they should be. And they don't have the, you know, if we got to watch it on VIST because we're not watching on CNN, right?
Right.
Exactly. Or, you know, they need to be going out there and helping people and then giving that information out. You know, it shouldn't be a surprise. We shouldn't have to watch YouTube videos that's not on, you know, any major news network to get the real information.
Well, that's how we get our news now in the modern age. You know,
Oh,
unless you want celebrity news, watch CNN.
Yeah, there you go. Kim Kardashian shat on a poodle. You know, that's, you know, I mean, the problem with that is too, though, is people flock to that type of, you know, sports, celebrities, entertainers, you know, any of those things are going to flock to that. But if you say, oh my God, in Japan, cows are dying and people are losing their livelihood, and people don't want to watch that. You know,
right.
We'll give 18 cents a day to feed them some rice, but ultimately, you know, we don't want to see that when we turn on CNN. We want to see what Dinglehopper did for breakfast. I mean, it's really the
well, let me ask you this. Did you take any precautions now that Fukushima happened? Did you?
No, I still eat a bunch of fish.
I actually went out, well, I still do it. I take iodine every day.
Do you really?
Oh,
yeah. I don't.
Because, you know, it comes over in the clouds and then it'll rain down.
That is true.
Stream,
jet stream, yep. And that's true, and I can see that. But when it comes to radiation...
And we're actually deficient in iodine anyway, so it's a win-win.
Yeah,
so.
I eat a lot of salt in my stuff, so I mean,
Does it have iodine in the salt?
I hope so, yeah.
A lot of it they're taking out.
Well, yeah, because people like you eating all the damn
They
pills.
found out the IQ went up, so they took it out of the salt.
No, really?
yeah.
Oh, no
can-
wonder I'm
you
so
can swear,
smart.
by the way.
Yeah. I know, but just naturally I don't. I still use the work, swearing where
This
I
is the
bleep everything out.
K2D4 network. We swear on here when we want.
Yeah, when we drink. But the thing about radiation that a lot of people don't understand is, and I had a class in it in college, and the thing about radiation is there's radiation everywhere. Actually, a banana has a certain amount of radiation because the molecules are breaking apart and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And I can't explain it well enough to make it sound too scientific or whatnot. But take, for example, I smoke. Smokers get a huge amount of radiation every year just from the cigarette. The carcinogens in the cigarette, it gets into your body, gets into your bloodstream, and then that carcinogen breaks apart. It's a radiation. It's not cesium. It's not coming out of a nuclear reactor. They're putting drops of it in my cigarette butt, and I'm sitting there smoking nuclear reactor, waste. But it's the same type of thing. There's radiation everywhere. It comes from the sun. It hits the earth. Yada yada yada. It's the amount you get in a certain amount of time that can be an issue. So when someone says radiation, a lot of people, they go right into panic mode. It's like, I had a guy come up and say, they didn't put that lead apron on my genitalia when I had my chest x-ray and my ball's going to fall off. I was like, dude, you're fine. In all reality, you're going to have to get, 10, 20, 30, 40, however many x-rays.
Right, it's over time how bad it gets.
Then when I was in class for radiation, they made us wear these pens, and then we had to pull the pens. Yeah, it looked like a pen, and it had a little sight glass in it, and you'd look to see how many rads you got.
Okay.
And then if you get too many, of course, you're blackballed. You're never gonna get a job in it. But
I actually went out and fucking bought a radiation detector too.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Those things are fucking great.
Because it was when this happened, it was so hard to find them.
Oh yeah.
And then when you did, they're probably still spendy as it is right now. But
of course,
I paid like $500 for it. But
we should play with that.
But if something goes to hell, I play with it when it rains.
Yeah.
I watch it, it jumps up. I don't know what normal is because I didn't have it before this disaster.
And there's 3 settings on there, right? Like a low, medium, and high.
Well, you can do it in microsieverts or change it to
Because I watched a documentary on Chernobyl. That's how I know about it. And in the documentary, the guy had his I forgot the name of those things. But anyway, so he had it on the highest setting, and he was picking up background radiation.
Sure.
And then, of course, it's kind of propaganda. It's like, oh, these people shouldn't be working here because, there's so much. But he was catching so much background radiation because, again, radiation is going on all the time around us everywhere. So, you got to be really careful when you. It's one of those hot, what do you call it? Like that hot topic, that name. Like, you say radiation, people are like, or super flu. Right. Or, those types of things. People start getting a little nervous, like, oh, shit, there's something going on.
Of course, we get radiation from the sun. So
yeah, yeah. So, I'm not saying that Fukushima is fine or it's good or, what they did was right. I'm not saying that they took care of it the right way. But, at the same time, we need to be taking care of it. But people need to realize that, radiation isn't horrible because it's around us at all times. But in these types of instances where, cows are dying, they're not feeding them, and I really blame the government more than I blame anybody else on that. The government needs to be protecting and serving the people, and they need to be informing the people. And it seems now in this day and age especially, they're constantly lying to us over and over and over, or they're keeping us in the dark about things. So, in this video especially, they're showing that, the cows are dying, these farmers are losing livelihood, and the government, all they want to do is they want to take those cows, they want to slaughter them, and that was it. And I think that's the major issue when it comes to Fukushima. Having the radiation come over, I don't think the government's not going to jump up and be like, hello, welcome, and you're fucked. It's just not going to happen.
Speaking of which, there's a fucking parody of Obama saying, somebody made it like, not to worry, there's no radiation, but he's in a fucking radiation suit. It's funnier than fucking hell.
I like that. It's nice.
This is an NBC News special report.
Well, I want to be very clear. We do not expect harmful levels of radiation to reach the West Coast, Hawaii, Alaska, or U.S. territories in the Pacific. That is the judgment of our Nuclear Regulatory Commission and many other experts. Furthermore, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and public health experts do not recommend that people in the United States take precautionary measures beyond staying informed. And going forward, we will continue to keep the American people fully updated, because I believe that you must know what I know as president.
Anyway, to wrap up, nuclear reactors, probably not the most safest thing, but we should be taking precautions and taking different steps here to move into a different direction with energy. And the bottom line is, this stuff it's still spewing right now.
Is it really?
Yeah. They have to keep pumping new water in. They built all those tanks around it. They have no idea what they're going to do with those tanks of water. So bottom line is, we need to switch to clean energy, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cleaner energy. I don't think we'll ever get away from nuclear because of the the way it is. My video is on thorium, which is a rare earth mineral. We didn't know how to get rid of it or utilize it at first. It was coming out of the ends of these factories as a dust and a dirt, and we didn't. It's like I said, it's radioactive, and it was unhealthy. So what we did was, ultimately, this video talks about how our rare earth minerals all moved over to China, our rare earth mineral manufacturing. And if you're wondering why all the jobs went over to China, this is one of the reasons. Rare earth minerals are, everything in your cell phone, the cameras, I mean, everything that's going on right now has rare earth minerals in it. And the thorium was a big issue because it was a waste product. We didn't know what to do with it. It came out as a dust, and we didn't want that up in the air and breathing this radiation, radioactive dust in. So they sent everything over to China. Well, you know how much easier it is to go ahead and just move your company over to China? Well, it's much easier than having to take the rare earth minerals, take them over to China, have them dissected and put together in little piles, and then sent all the way back. So some of our jobs, and I think this might be one of the reasons why some of our jobs went over to China, was because we sent all of our rare earth mineral mining and stuff over there. And then on top of that, we sent it all over there, and then China, people don't understand what China is. When we build a factory over there, China says, all right, you can do that, but you have to partner with a Chinese company. So Mattel, say, I got a bad example, but say Mattel goes over and they're like, hey, we want to build these baby dolls over here. And they're like, all right, hey, we can do that, but you're going to partner with this Chinese company.
Well, it's cheaper, first of all, right?
Well, it is cheaper because we just sent all of our materials over there to be manufactured. So we send them raw product, they go ahead and do something with it, they send it back to us, and then we can manufacture it. Well, that's a lot of transportation costs. Why not just send them the raw product? Why don't we just go over there, build it there, and then send the product back to the United States? Right. Yeah, it's much easier that way. And then what happens is we go over there, we partner with a Chinese government, or the Chinese, government company, it's the same thing. And for the 10, 20, 15 years, we're partners. And then as soon as that 15 years is done, they kick the American company or any other company out, and they keep the intellectual properties. We are losing, in America, we're losing our intellectual properties on these things. I mean, we came up with the microwave, right? Well, say the guy comes up with a brand new microwave, and it runs on, I don't know, the Force. So he takes that over there, and we're the only ones that know how to use the Force right now.
May the Force be with you.
In your microwave. Yes, we can. That'd be great TV dinners. So then you go over there, and they partner, and they say, okay, so we'll partner with you for 15 years. You make your microwave powered by the Force here in China. And then after that, the 15 years, they say, okay, we don't need you anymore, bye-bye. And they keep the intellectual property. So now they know how to use the Force. Well, we were the only ones before, and now they know. And they can do it cheaper because we're still sending all of our other materials over there to be made. So America losing their intellectual properties is a huge issue, which they do cover a little bit in here.
A pretty skinny business. You take your ore and you crush that, you dissolve it, and then you use a very, very complicated process. It's probably even more complicated than enriching uranium. That's how hard this is. That's how you get those little powders. But those little powders are pretty useless. You give that powder to Martin Marietta or to Boeing, it's not like they can throw it on an airplane. They can't do anything with it. So they take $4 billion in pixie dust, and they turn it into $7 trillion in high value, high growth, high margin value added goods. That's 10% of the economy. Even if U.S. Rare Earths jumps into business tomorrow and starts producing rare earths, all they're going to end up with is those powders. And what are they going to do with them? Their only customer is China.
GAO did a report a little while ago that says rebuilding a domestic rare earth supply chain would take up to 15 years if we really wanted to ramp up.
Jesus Christ.
A company comes along and tells you, we're going to be a rare earth mine and we're going to build our own value chain. It can't be done by an individual company. There's no way you can take on a country who's got more human beings dedicated to the production and value adding of rare earths than we had in the Manhattan Project during World War II. They literally have 2 cities that they call rare earth cities.
People involved in this, we love the free market. We think that is the best way to go. But the first thing you have to recognize is that you are not dealing in a free market when you're dealing with China. Realize that the companies that do rare earths can take losses all day long as they're supporting a $7 trillion manufacturing base to the government.
The United States needs to respond. We need to respond to some things. We can't just be totally passive and say, free markets will fix this one. The free markets aren't in the room.
You need multiple players to have a free market. And we must, in the Western world, step up and participate in this.
If you're pulling out rare earths and your deposit has, let's say, 8% rare earths, it may have 14% thorium. Thorium was classified as a nuclear fuel in the early part of the atomic age, as if it would be uranium, plutonium. The liabilities associated with being the proud owner of source material, it is so horrific that no public company I'm aware of will ever take on that risk. In the 80s, the IAEA lowered the threshold for the definition of source material. All of these domestic producers of rare earths who were producing these wonderful rare earths that had the full spectrum, all the heavy stuff, their customers no longer wanted to accept the material, because when the customer would take the material and extract out the rare earths they wanted, they had a little pile of thorium. And they didn't want to own that little pile of thorium because nobody knew what to do with it. You know, I mean, it's not the kind of stuff you throw out the back door, because people that did that back in the 20s.
Treasure or something.
Yeah, we didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, exactly right.
Thorium is a very mild alpha emitter, very easily handled, not dangerous whatsoever, and not water soluble, can't get into the groundwater.
This source material rule crushed the domestic supply.
Now, quickly, you heard him. It can't get into the groundwater. You know,
that's because
it's. I don't know exactly why. That's what really got me was we were just talking about Fukushima. Radiation gets into the water, got into the ocean. If they were to utilize thorium in some way, the way that we're going to see here shortly, that never would have happened, because thorium they utilize it in a salt brine, and when it's done being used, it turns into a solid, and you can't, you know, you take the solid thorium and salt and you throw it into the water, it's just going to sink to the bottom. It's easy cleanup.
Sure.
Whereas nuclear, we're cooling it with water constantly, and then that water becomes radioactive, and then we got to figure out what to do with it.
So is this like, do the governments know about this?
The governments do know about this.
So why haven't they done anything about it?
Like they said, thorium, it would take 15 years for us to catch up, or not even to catch up, but to start a rare earths mining, start this thorium type of thing. Now, a little bit later here, he's going to explain a little bit better than I can why we haven't, you know, why we're not where we need to be. But what's going on right now is China has the monopoly on this. Like the guy said, there's 2 cities in China right now that are just rare earth cities. That's all they do.
What does that mean, rare earth city?
The rare earth, what they do is they take all this earth with all these rare elements, and like he said, and they separate it out. They use acids, they use all sorts of things, and they separate out all these minerals. So you take a ton of material, and you might only get a handful of thorium, and I don't know what the other ones are called. But anyway, you only get these like little handfuls of everything. It's so difficult to do that they say it's harder to do than enriching uranium. So, and we all know how hard that is. I mean, people have been trying, countries have been trying to do that for years, and it's hard to do. And these rare earth minerals, they're the ones that kind of power our technology right now. You know, a little bit goes in here, a little bit goes in here. The guy called it, you know, pixie dust, and he's not very far from the truth. Is these rare earth minerals are actually, you know, utilized in a lot of the things we use now in, you know, our flat screen TVs and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And like the guy said, your company can take a humongous loss by manufacturing it, because at the very end, when you sell it, you're selling it for so much more, you know, and it's so needed. You know, it's kind of like the way I look at it is diamonds it's false. There's more diamonds than we could ever use, probably.
Right. That's price is suppressed, by the way. So don't buy your wife anything for Valentine's Day.
Well, I don't know if I go with anything. I might not diamonds. Pearls are really good. I like them. But so, you know, they can, you know, and since they're the manufacturers of rare earths, I mean, they kind of have that monopoly. They can go ahead and say, I'm going to sell you, you know, X, Y, and Z mineral, but, you know, I need to make a bit of profit and make it more.
This stuff, do we get more energy off this than nuclear?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, we finished this up, but yeah.
Okay.
And that's the great thing about it is the issue with it now, and I don't know if they go over this or not, or something I might have read, with thorium, is the idea that it's in that salt brine, and if it were to break and before it could become a solid, then, or no, cooling, maybe it's cooling. The earth cools down. I don't know, there's something about how if it is in the salt brine and it doesn't have time to cool and it gets, you know, into the air, into the water, then it will permeate, and that is an issue. And the storage of this is kind of hard to do. But this guy says he's got it figured out. We'll watch, you know, the remaining of this, and then maybe we'll have a better idea because, well, I'm not the smartest guy in the room.
Of rare
This guy
earths.
is.
Thorium is just always with that material.
Waste byproduct anymore. This is not going to be a burden. Now we will take something that has kept us for 30 years from participating in the rare earth industry and turn that into energy. Basically, in the 50s, the light water reactor became the reactor of choice for the Navy. The suppliers of that, General Electric, Westinghouse, said, hey, we've built up this whole supply chain and expertise. Let's make a civilian reactor out of this military reactor. Thorium can be used in solid fuel reactors, the CANDU reactor, but by far the best possible use for it would be in a molten salt reactor. The thorium fuel is dissolved in a salt that doesn't become liquid until about 400 or 500 degrees. The standard operating temperature for one of these reactors is 600 degrees Celsius, 3 times that of a light water reactor. Light water reactors really don't make very good heat. 330 degrees isn't very hot at all. You know, they use water as a coolant. They're under tremendous pressure, 3,000 psi. Molten salt reactors can't blow up. They aren't under any pressure. You can actually look into it. It'd be water clear. You'd see it swirling around like a hot tub. They can't melt down because they are melted down. The whole point of it is anytime you stop working with the molten salt reactor, it solidifies. We've been well served by pressurized water reactors, but we could do even better. The cost is 1/5. You don't have these huge containment vessels, these huge 7 and 8 stage turbines to make your electricity. Everything is more compact, everything is safer. And when you burn thorium in a molten salt reactor, you get 99.999% burnup. When you burn uranium in a light water reactor, you get 1 or maybe 3.
Really?
If you're the French, you get about
Holy
5%
fuck.
burnup. So when you use fuel in a light water reactor, you're leaving 95% of that energy sitting in a parking lot in dry gas storage. Molten salt reactor will use 99.99% of the available energy. Very simple pieces of legislation. You can read them in just a few minutes, really. Create a national rare earth cooperative refinery. Also, an actual physical storage facility, the literal thorium bank, way beyond belts and suspenders needed to actually store the thorium safely. Multiple mining companies, providers of apatite, monazite, bastite, xenotime, would now have a facility to process the full spectrum, especially the heavies, which are what we need most of all. Because the first thing that comes out of the process is thorium. When you separate rare earths, the heaviest of them all is thorium. And the thorium bank would accept that right at the beginning of the process. And we would encapsulate it and put it in, pelletize it, put it into stainless steel tanks inside a double-lined concrete building, seismically isolated. That's chilled to minus 40 degrees, so absolutely no off-gassing or anything can come from it. It's very impressive and probably about 100 times more than is really needed. But because it's radioactive and we understand the sensitivities of the public, we want to make sure that nobody can ever say that we didn't go far, far beyond the call of duty to safely store this material. And there's a lot of industrial uses. You can see down there that thorium alloys, the tip of every Trident missile is made out of Thormag. All our jet fighters have thorium magnesium gussets in them. Thorium sits right below cerium, so you know that elements have similar properties in columns. Thorium might be 4 times more efficient than cerium at cracking petroleum. So now thorium could help the petroleum industry.
Yeah, pause. Has this been used for energy already? Like, for like a reactor?
As far as I know, China has 2, if not 3, that they're building right now, and he's going to cover that here shortly. That they're building. Matter of fact, if I'm right, if I can remember correctly, they're building it, and they weren't supposed to be done until 2025, and they're going to be done in like 2020. And they're already doing this, the salt water, thorium. They think it's the next greatest, biggest thing, and they have all the rare earth companies like we were talking about over there already. So there's nothing stopping them from going ahead and creating the rare earths, taking that thorium out. Like the guy said, it is the heaviest. It's the first thing that comes out. They ship it right over there. They go ahead and palletize it, and they put it into little cubes, and then they send it over. They dilute it in salt water. It turns into a liquid. They put it right into the reactor, and 99.99% of the energy created is put right into the grid.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And here we are dealing with nuclear, which is only getting us 3%.
So the whole reason we're not adapting it is because it's going to take 15 years?
It's going to take 15 years. We'd have to completely...
Or is it or is it because it's a cover-up? Or do they not want it?
You know, I don't know. I think maybe it has something to do more with price. You know, and, well, you know, I'll be straight up. I do think it's a cover-up. Our government's ran by corporations, and our corporations that run the government the most are their petroleum, our energy. You know, gas, coal, oil. These companies are making a huge amount of money off of us. I mean, for example, look at your gas prices. There's no reason for them to be that way, if you ask me. I don't know the whole thing into it, but all I'm saying is they can't fluctuate depending on the time of year and the fucking holiday. Oh, it's about Christmas time, folks. Guess what? Your gas is going to go down by $1. Why? So you have more jingle in your pocket so you can go to Walmart and buy your kid an extra 4 damn toys, and that makes them more money somewhere else. And then right after New Year's, bam. I don't know how the hell it happens, but amazingly, the price of gas has to go back up. That's 70 cents.
Or jack it up on Memorial Day. And
there you go. Right before y'all go driving around, you're going to jack that up. And that's bullshit. You know, it's called price gouging, which is illegal. You can't do that. You know, if it's pumpkins year round or, 75 cents, right when they're, being harvested for Halloween, it's like 75 cents for a pumpkin. But if you want a pumpkin in the middle of July, they throw them out there at $40. That's price gouging because there's not a lot of supply, so they can go ahead and charge more. And there is a supply and demand. That is free markets and whatnot. But you got to be shitting me. Every damn Christmas, oh, it's getting close, folks. We're going to drop this by 70 cents. Then they're going to tell you to feel lucky.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to stroke you off and slap you in the ass and tell you have a nice day when ultimately you're just getting fucked. I mean, really, that's what it is. They're going to go ahead and say, oh, the prices went down. It's 10 cents cheaper than it was last year. Yay!
Better buy some more gifts, everybody.
Yeah.
We can bring these clean energies out, and then we could eliminate the shit jobs, and people could actually start doing like what they love for a living. And
you're absolutely correct, because say we built 3 thorium reactors, we're getting 99% of the energy out of them. The energy now becomes so much cheaper. And that's the idea, and that's why people should be interested in this.
Right.
Because when your electrical bill goes from $300 or $200 a month to $20, when we're making electricity cheaper than we can buy a gallon of gas, that's a big deal.
But that's probably the bigger issue here, that if it's going to get that cheap, then they don't want to release it because it's a big profit right now.
And see, that could be too, but I think it's more about the price now. I think really it's coal, oil, and all those items. They're making it. They're doing good. I mean, we don't understand that it's a fossil fuel. We're pretty well fucked once they're out, and they will be at one point in time. So here's the idea: is it's so much easier now. Why break a system that's already working?
Right.
And the companies are already in bed, or the government's already in bed with the companies in the first place. The other thing, if you were to ask me, because this is the way I am, the government doesn't want us to go ahead and have more money, more freedom. They want to keep us under this yoke. I mean, if the government really wanted to help out the American people, they'd stop sending trillions of dollars overseas and start putting trillions of dollars into the government, into the home right here.
Oh, sure.
You know, rebuild the infrastructures, create jobs, bring corporations back, bring companies back. There's ways to do it. I'm not saying I know the answers because I sure the fuck don't. But I know that there's somebody out there that does. And I know there's ideas out there. The thorium idea, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because it makes sense. And we could bring the rare earth minerals back. We can bring the manufacturing back with them. That's kind of the whole circumference of the idea is we sent the rare earth mineral mining over there and the manufacturing over there. Companies went over there to get those minerals so they didn't have to send them back this way. So we opened one up here. We now know how to deal with the thorium problem. Now we know how to deal with it. Let's take care of it here. Bring those, you know, start our own thorium, start our own rare earth minerals, our mining, our, you know, distribution. This is opening up jobs. You know, holy shit. So we have cheaper energy. We build the saltwater reactors. We bring the rare earth minerals back. We bring the corporations back with there. It's not going to fix everything in America, but by God, it'll bring some of that back. And the corporations come back to the IPs, that intelligent, you know, what did I say that was called? Intellectual properties.
Okay. You got all these fucking names that are...
I got a shit ton of them. I make some of them up. You won't know, though. But the intellectual properties, they come back, too. And America becomes smarter again. And that's what happened in the 50s when we had Operation Paperclip. We brought all those scientists over. And then we had this big boom. You know, we created microwaves. We created satellites. We did all this great shit. We did that because we had all these scientists over here. Well, then we bring the intellectual properties back because that's what really we need. So then the manufacturing comes back, the scientist comes back, the engineers come back. Next thing you know, we're rebuilding America from the inside out.
Sounds like a win-win.
It really would be if you were to ask me. And now, I don't know everything, and by God, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I do. I mean, somebody's going to be out there telling, you know, yelling at the screen right now saying, "You're a fucking idiot," and they're probably right because I don't have all the information. I've only researched what I could when I could. But to me, it makes sense. Is it correct? Is it going to work? Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. There's always going to be hiccups. But if you were to ask me, if we're not looking forward and we're just going to say, hey, it's been working for 20 years in the past or 50 years. We've been burning coal for 150 years. Why not, why change it now? Well, the way I look at that is we're not looking for the future.
Right.
You know, I have kids. I'm going to have grandkids. I'm going to have great-grandkids. And I don't want them to have to go out every damn day to go out and play in the park, put on a damn mask, and dust the soot off the damn teeter-totter because, you know, our atmosphere is saturated with dirt, debris, and coal and all this other shit. So why not think about that? I mean, the 21st century here, folks. You know, let's start acting our age and not our, you know, well, if you were to ask me, our IQ at times. And I think thorium happens to be that point. And if it gets hit by a tsunami... yeah, no one gives a shit.
Right.
You know, I mean, really, that probably will give a shit.
It'll be safe, though.
It will be safe, or shall we say safer? You know, we can't say it would. You know, if it would be safe completely.
I guess, yeah.
So.
They haven't really tested anything out yet.
Exactly.
It's new.
But I suppose after seeing Fukushima, if they're smart enough, they wouldn't put it on the damn coast.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't. I'd put it out in the desert somewhere.
Well, the only reason they put it out on the coast is to get that seawater.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and maybe we'll have to just build a big pipeline.
Well, there you go, people. Talk is cheap. Think about it. Fukushima's still burning. Some new energy options here. Look at this shit closer. Links in the description. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.